Good evening and welcome to the Planning Commission of the City of Moreno Valley. I now call this meeting to order on October 24th, 2019 at 7:05 p.m. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Brugaris,
Here.
Commissioner Stefan,
Present.
Commissioner Harris,
Here.
Commissioner DeJournette,
Here.
Commissioner Corsick,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Baker,
Here.
Chairperson Sims.
Here. Okay, the Pledge of Allegiance be led by Commissioner DeJournette.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Okay, a second?
Second.
All right, we got a first and second. All those in favor? Or please cast your vote. You can vote no if you want to, I guess. Look at that, we got it at 7-0. That's good. All right, moving right along. Okay, this is public comments procedure. Any person wishing to address the commission on any matter, either under the public comments section of the agenda or scheduled items or public hearings, must fill out a request to speak form available at the door. The completed form must be submitted to the secretary prior to the agenda item being called by the chairperson. Speaking to the commission, member of the public may be limited to 3 minutes per person, except for the applicant for entitlement. The commission may establish an overall time limit for comments on a particular agenda item. Members of the public must direct their questions to the chairperson of the commission and not to other members of the commission, the applicant, the staff, or the audience. Okay, the next item. The next item is any public comments on any item not on the agenda. If there's anybody here that wants to speak on that's not on the agenda.
We have no speakers.
Okay. All right. The next item is the approval of the consent calendar. And that would be the minutes of the October 10th, 2019 meeting. Do we have a motion or comments edits that need to be done?
I move approval.
Second. All right, we have a first and a second.
That's second by Brugaris.
Commissioner Brugaris. All right, cast your vote. Hey, look at that, 7-0. That's what you like. All right. Okay, the next item on the agenda is public hearing item. So that's item number 1. It's conditional use permit for Cannaporium, a cannabis micro business. So we have the staff report, please.
Thank you, Chair Sims. If I could, we discovered that we're missing one item for this project that we would need to have before you prior to making a decision. What we'd like to do is have a staff presentation, open the hearing so that anybody here wishing to speak could do that, and then continue this item to the following meeting, which would be the November 14th meeting. And we proceed with that.
Are we all good with that? So apparently something's missing from the packet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. An ALAC determination, Airport Land Use Commission determination, is not in hand, and we would normally have that prior to your approval of a project. I'm sorry.
So, so the idea here is to hear the staff report, hear the public comment from the applicant, and then not deliberate tonight and just continue it until the next meeting. Good. I'm good. Good. All right. Let's proceed forward. Thank you.
All right, good evening, Planning Commissioners. I'm Julia Dakota, and I'm the Associate Planner working on this project. The item before you is a cannabis micro business within a 26,678 square foot building, and the building is located at 4685 Alessandro Boulevard. It's in an existing shopping center on Indian and Alessandro. It's in an older shopping center that's been there for a long time. There was originally way back in the day, a drugstore in this particular building, so it's a pretty large building. The site is accessed from Indian Street and also from Alessandro Boulevard. There is adequate parking for the facility on site. The applicant will be doing some modifications, just minor upgrades to the parking lot wherever it's needed on their parcel. They would have to put in some landscaping trees if it's needed, and then they'll be doing some improvements to the front of the building to enhance it. The project site is zoned community commercial, and all of the properties along Alessandro Boulevard on the south side from Indian all the way to Paris are also community commercial. To the north and to the south is residential 5, existing residential dwellings. And then on the northwest corner and the northeast corner and the southwest corner, those two parcels are zoned neighborhood commercial. The City Council in 2017 adopted ordinances setting up regulations for cannabis facilities, and the Municipal Code Sections 9.09, 290, and 293, along with the Permitted Uses Table 9.02020-1, provide conditional use permit requirements for all types of cannabis facilities. This is in addition to Title V, which also has requirements for these facilities, and the state of California and other agencies regulate the licensing once the conditional use permit is approved at the local level. This facility is a little bit different than some that have been come before you. This one is a micro business, and with the micro business, they're required to have more than one business within this one facility. This one includes cultivation, manufacturing, distribution, and retail sales. The retail sales, which you've already seen a few of those come through, in this particular one, there'll be approximately 2,000 square feet. Regular retail hours, the 8 to 10 per the state regulations, which is what we follow for that. Any customers that come in here would have to be 21 or older. Their IDs are checked at the door, so they can't gain access unless they're over 21. There is security on site and security within the building. The other operation would be manufacturing. And in this facility, they will cultivate the cannabis flower and trim products and manufacture them into extracts, edibles, and topicals, and packaging the product and getting them ready for sale. Then the distribution side of it, they would be able to take those products and distribute it to their retail stores, but then also they would be able to sell those to other licensed facilities. So the different use that we have in this facility is the cultivation. The cultivation is limited to a maximum of 10,000 square feet. It all has to be done within the confines of the building. And I will let the applicant talk a little bit more about this because they're a little bit more knowledgeable than I am on this, but they cultivate the highest quality of cannabis strains in an energy efficient and environmentally friendly manner using advanced light emitting diodes or high pressure sodium lights. And then their preferred cultivation method is a hydroponic top feed fertigation in a cocoa perlite and biocular medium. So everything is done within the building. Once the cannabis gets ready for sale, and again, the applicant can go through it a little bit better if you need them to, but all of the items are in the track and trace system for the state of California. And so that product is traced from the time it's grown to the time it's sale at the retail or the distribution. So it follows it all the way through, and they're required to keep this track and trace system in place at all times. Applicant has been provided a copy of the conditions of approval. The conditions of approval talk about the safety plan. It talks about the odor control plan and requires that they comply with the city regulations on those as well as any state mandates on those. To date, I have had 2 phone calls regarding the project. One of them involved a letter, which you did receive on the dais tonight, and then another caller and both were opposed to the project. And the review process for this project, the municipal code requirements have been met. Staff worked with the applicant to make sure everything was going along smoothly and that the site plan and the floor plans are correct. And with that, I'm going to close my comments right now and then have the applicant, if you need them to, or if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners have any questions of staff? Commissioner Harris?
Yes. On one side, there's a room that says testing lab. Is that really a testing lab, or is that going to be used for something else? Because I don't think you're probably not going to be testing your own product, are you?
They'll be testing their own product there, but they do have to send it out to another licensed facility for the actual testing. Because
Okay.
they're required to do that, and you can't do your own testing, you're absolutely right. But they do their internal testing and then send it out.
And then also I noticed there's a commercial kitchen. Are they going to be making, baking edibles or whatever you'd call it in
would.
this?
Yes, in the manufacturing portion of it.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I know you said there were, we have the one letter of opposition, and you had another person that opposed it. What was their opposition to the project?
I don't like to ad lib and give you exactly. They were opposed to the project. She is here tonight.
Oh, she is?
So I'll let her
Okay.
speak.
I just was wondering what her reasoning was. Okay.
I have a question about the, what was the term you used? The tracking the product from
Track and
seed,
trace.
or, seed to
Seed to sale.
packaging or the sale. Is that like almost like a chain of custody for, is that kind of an analogy as chain of custody on a?
It is. It's a barcode that's put on at the very early stages of the plant, and then that barcode is scanned in every process throughout until it's for sale. And again, the applicant would probably have more information on that because they're more involved in it than I am, but it is a process that from seed to sale.
Any other questions, staff? Okay, then, is there anybody from the public, what's that?
Have the applicant first,
I lost my.
public, then the
lost my
applicant's rebuttal.
Cheat sheet here, but yeah, would the applicant, want to come and present? Here it is.
Thank you, Commissioners, for having us here tonight. We are very excited to continue moving this project forward. As she said, it's a micro business which the state kind of created to mimic more of a microbrewery or winery sort of operation. Lets us grow it, make products, and sell it in either in our own store or to other licensees. The track and trace system would completely track everything from the time it's planted until it's packaged and sold. And that includes going in inventory and then from inventory into manufacturing. So if we take a pound of flour, manufacture it into however many grams of concentrates or into edibles, that is all tracked with all the ingredients all the way through. Everything is immediately reported to the state through that system. And then if anything has to be destroyed for any reason, that is also reported and taken out of the inventory and reported directly to the state. So it's very tight controls. As far as the other operations, the retail store will be very open and clean looking retail store. We have good ceiling heights in the building. It's not going to feel closed in. We don't want to have it to be dark or anything. It'll be very bright and inviting. More of a retail experience you're used to for other goods. Cultivation will be limited to the 10,000 feet. That's limited to the micro business. I'll be completely inside the building. There'll be activated carbon filters throughout all the grow rooms to absorb any of the odor. Nothing will leave the building. When products go to be distributed through the loading dock, all the vehicles will be brought inside the building with the roll-up door closed, loaded and unloaded, and that way nothing is shown from the exterior of the building. The commercial kitchen will eventually be operational, and we will make our own edibles on site. The idea was to have control over all that operation within our facility. As far as manufacturing, the microbusiness requirements are only non-volatile, non-combustible manufacturing operations. So there won't be any butane or any combustible materials used in manufacturing. We'll have two entrances from the north of the building. The one entrance will be for the retail store only. The other entrance will be for employees and vendors and will be separately secured and controlled. All the interior doors will be locked with key card access, so nobody will be able to move around the building without security clearance. There will be security during the day, at least two security personnel during the day and one at night, in addition to all the cameras with all the DVR requirements being met. And if there are any issues, their alarm system is tied into that system. We'll immediately notify the police and fire, as well as our security guard on site will be able to respond. If there are any issues, we have 30 days of recordings that will be accessible to the police. If there is any instances where there's a security breach inside the building and people are held up in the building, the police will have direct connection to the live security feed for access to that. Our goal is to make everything as secure and inviting as possible and not have any loitering or any issues around the building. I know that shopping center has been run down for quite a while. We do look forward to revitalizing it and bringing in probably 40 or 50 local jobs. Thank you.
Questions to the applicant?
Yeah, I know you say it's been run down, and I do know the area. I've been here 35 years, and I know that particular area. What kind of security are you really, you say one at night, and that's basically just my personal opinion, is when things are actually might occur, will be at night. I know your operation will be open at night, and I don't know if one will really suffice.
The single security will be after we close for the night, and the front of the building will have roll down security doors on the inside of the building to secure the entrances. If we need additional security, if we do see that there are threats to the facility, we will increase our security as warranted. With the alarm system, security cameras covering every square inch of the interior and the exterior, we feel right now that one during the off hours at night could be sufficient
Okay, it's a very large shopping center, as you know, because you've leased the place. And there are a lot of areas there where there are a lot of people that do loiter, and right now that there are a lot of vacancies there, they do have a lot of homeless.
Yes.
So,
I mean, we'll, maintain things as best we can. We can't police the entire shopping center
Oh, I
since
know.
we're not the owner of everything, but we'll do what we can. And if we do see that there are issues throughout the rest of the center, we'll work with the other owners on the CCNRs and see if we can have a patrol that will jointly be funded.
yeah, I know. I'm just saying because of your type of business, it will attract, I believe,
Oh, yes, I understand. We will have security as warranted, but at least one person at night, plus the security cameras.
On your entrance to the retail store, those are man traps?
We will
Or how
have,
many people are allowed to go inside and shop in a particular time?
well, the number of people will be limited by our occupancy. I don't remember what that number is off the top of my head. But we're not going to have like a physical airport style security man trap. It'll be entrance with a barricaded or blocked by a partition wall with a guard and personnel there checking IDs and only allowing one person in at a time while they're checking their ID. So it won't just be free flowing entrance. They have to be basically be frisked more or less, make sure they're not carrying any weapons, and then have their ID checked, scanned. All IDs will be scanned because the state's track and trace system accounts for how much that person has bought from a licensed facility every day. So you can't go to one shop, buy your maximum amount of flour of 1 ounce or concentrates, and go to the next shop and buy your maximum because it'll all be scanned to your ID. So if you come in, your ID is scanned, and you've already bought your limit for that day, it'll be turned away.
My concern would be, and in just watching the news, is that a person goes to access the building and 10 guys running behind them. And some of the other that we're used to, they have a man trap, which means they can't get through the second door. So it kind of opens the door for just the smash and grab. One guy opens the door, 10 guys rush in, security guard can't get them all. They all rush in, smash and grab and leave. The other businesses that we've been dealing with for cannabis would have the man trap to control the flow of people that are coming in at a given time, and to help alleviate, temptation of the smash and grab or potential for smash and grab. This is the first one that I believe that we've come across that didn't have the man trap. I think that's correct. Something to consider, and
We did consider that and really looked into it, and we felt that it was a bit overkill, especially for providing the customer experience that we're wanting to provide. We will have security there at the door, outside the entrance, and then checking inside as well.
Are you familiar with the area and the history
Yes.
of the area? A particularly donor block.
What was that?
Know what that name is associated with?
Excuse me, what name?
Donor block.
I can't hear you.
Okay. I didn't think you were familiar with the area, so there are some associations with that particular area. I'm not going to go into it, but you have to be really familiarized with the area that you're in, just right behind that center, and some potentials there. So there's just some concerns that I have.
Well, and if there are security problems, we will, enhance our entrance security.
If I could interrupt just one moment, please. We do have a condition of approval number 60, where we have the applicant shall submit plans detailing provisions for controlled secured access into and out of the dispensary area, because we realize that, and we want to work with the applicant to make sure that our objectives are met, and also his. So we will be working with them on that particular item as well.
Chair, if I may, I know this commission is concerned about security at all of these cannabis facilities, and you'll also note that there are not detailed security plans in any of the submittals that you're seeing, and that's intentional. We don't want to release security plans in a public hearing for the public to see. So the security aspects of the program are not part of the land use approvals and the end of the Planning Commission's decision-making process. They're part of the cannabis business operation permit and are handled by the police department and the city manager's office. So they actually do submit a more detailed security plan that is reviewed and approved and managed by the city manager and the police department, specifying where the cameras are, how many security personnel are there, and what hours, and all of those details. But we don't want those to be a part of a public hearing where bad actors would get the information that would be helpful to them. So that's why you get limited information as far as security goes in these hearings.
I think we're just all concerned because we all naturally live here. We know the area. And it's not only for the safety of your business, it's also for the safety of the residents because there are a lot of homes around there. And we just, you know, like Alvin said, if you've got just checking IDs or whatever and they can get in there, I mean, that'll happen. That'll happen. Not in a matter of if, it would be a matter of when. And I know you can't put out everything, every detail that you're gonna do, but it's basically, we're just asking these questions because we do know that area and it is, you know, like you said, we can't take care of the whole shopping center, which we don't expect you to do, but we're just concerned.
I understand. Our goal is to provide a safe and secure business for our employees and our business as well as our customers. So we will do everything we can to ensure that.
And I do know that you have trucks that virtually take the cash because you can't really deposit it into a bank per se because it's just not.
Not yet.
Not yet. And so that's another issue that, you know, you have to be very careful on too, and I'm sure you are, but that's another
No,
thing.
there are services now that for licensed cannabis businesses can take the cash and deposit it into a bank, and we will be using one of those
deposit?
services. Yes, which will allow us to pay vendors and employees with a check instead of cash. So we will be managing our cash that way as well.
I just happened to see just recently a documentary on that, where a truck actually was held up because they knew the cash was in there, so.
Yeah.
Any other questions of the applicant?
Yes, I want to
Phil.
touch on the security guard. You mentioned you're going to have 2 in the day, and during your conversation, you said that one will be inside checking ID, and then the other one will be outside during the day, right? Is that the way the day goes with security guard?
We'll have a staff employee checking IDs, the security guard will be outside, and then another security guard monitoring cameras.
Okay, so at night, you'll have one less guard, and how does that work? The security guard is going to be outside or inside?
He'll be inside.
Again,
There'll be no security guard outside then?
if I may, Commission, I do not want to discuss details of security plans and operations in a public hearing. It's part of the separate application and a separate process done by the police department and the city manager's office. And discussing those things in a public hearing puts the whole plan at risk.
I just wanted to make sure that the public understands that there will be security.
Yes, and there is a condition on approval that this body will approve where they have to be in compliance with that security plan. And that security plan is subject to change if there are issues or problems. But they are handled by the police department and the city manager's office jointly.
Thank you for informing me
Thank
about
you.
that. Okay. I have other questions. I just want to make sure that the public hears it. Welcome to step 2, okay? Now I'll go back to what I want to do. Okay, talking about security, on page 25, number 18 talks about fire, police, and staff will have unlimited access to be able to go in the building to make sure that everything is going to be run according to all the conditions. You have any problems with that?
No, sir.
So that stays on the record. And again, I know that staff done everything to make sure that the project It's always at its best with security. I trust the staff, and I know it'll work. I'm glad that you are, hopefully later it gets approved, that you will be able to help that plaza that's been part of Moreno Valley for over 35 years and needs help. I walked it from one corner to the other, from the front to the back. There's a lot of empty buildings, suites. With security and new lighting and a new face, anything's possible. But it takes your part to do your part. And I'm hoping that you keep your promises to the conditions that we're all looking at. And I don't want to, and I like security. I like talking about security, but I've already been informed that that is a private subject, and I respect that.
Well, another form of security is, hopefully we attract a lot of customers, and the more eyes there are on something, statistically has been shown to reduce crime in that area because there's too many people around to see something. And then we're hoping we attract a lot of traffic.
I just like to know that I'm doing my part to make sure that our city is safe and the public understands that. That's what's important to me.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have one. I know the cultivation of the plant requires a lot of water. It's a huge drain on water. Did I hear that you're going to do a hydroponic system in the cultivation, in the growing of the plants?
That's correct.
Can you just give me a real synopsis real quick of what that means?
He knows the cultivation
You
better
got
than
to
I
be
do.
on the microphone or the
I
record
don't need a
won't hear
lot of detail, but I had not heard of this before, and so I'm curious about the water usage.
It actually doesn't use too much water. The mediums nowadays, like the peat moss and the cocoa, they're very clean as far as the discharge, but also they carry moisture for a long period of time. So it reduces the water cycle of not feeding it so often. But hydroponic just basically means it's top fed, so it's continuously the roots stay moist.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I had one. Is this just out of curiosity? Is this your first? Let me restate this. We've seen several cannabis operations, different types, come through for consideration for CUP and whatnot. And typically they'll bring up their other operations or whatnot that they have going on. I just was curious: is this a first endeavor, or is this part of a bigger operation?
This will be our first operational license, but we do have licenses as well in City of San Jacinto that we're entitling at the same time.
Okay.
But this will be our first operational one that we're hoping. So.
All right. Okay. Other questions?
I have one more.
Okay.
The windows, because I went by there yesterday, just take a second look at it, and it has a lot of large windows in the front. Are you going to change out the windows, or you're going to keep the same glass?
There will be a lot of changes to the front. The windows will be pretty much limited to just the retail front area. The rest of the facility will have walls put in for the grow rooms and other interior build-outs. Behind the windows. Yeah. Well,
Behind the glass.
there'll be glazing on those that are blocked out to make them so they look nicer, but there will be walls built on the inside of those windows.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions of the applicant? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any speakers?
Yes, sir. We have one, Mary Duran.
Ms. Duran?
Good evening.
Evening.
I appreciate the opportunity to and the notice of this hearing and the advisement of the potential business. I am a resident. I'm actually, if you would put up the location, My home is directly across the street. I live in those residences on Alessandro. Can I step over? I have a couple of questions, one of which I would like to ask the prospective business person. By any chance, did you try to get another location other than this area?
You can't ask questions of the applicant, or any questions have to come to the chairperson.
Okay, that's
and-
fine. That's
All right,
fine.
Thank you.
My concern is this type of business is not conducive to improving the environment for the residents, because there's a lot of residences. And those of you that are aware, you know that there are a lot of homes around there. I do know that, and what I'm thinking is this site was located because per square foot it's probably cheaper to have that site. Now, there are many problems within that shopping center. We have a tattoo shop there that I was most recently advised by one of the other businesses that there's illegal activity in that location. Now, I'm not sure how having a cannabis site there that is manufacturing and cultivating and selling their ware, how that exactly will improve the I think what I'm trying to say, I think it would really depreciate us. We already have a lot of problems trying to control the traffic that enters, and I'm talking about foot traffic, that enters our residence. And as you well know, there are many homeless in that area. We have been experiencing, not just us, but I know many individuals, many residents have been experiencing mailbox thefts. Just last week we had a theft. And I'm praying that mine doesn't get.
Mr. Ann, you've already used your 3 minutes, your 15
Oh,
seconds.
have I
over.
really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So another 15 seconds if you wrap it
Okay.
up.
There's a school on Bay, which is 2 blocks north of the location. I just don't feel that this would be conducive to the goals and objectives of our community, which would be to have a more inviting area to move in, especially when some individuals are trying to sell their homes. I don't think that a cannabis site would really do anything for us, to tell you the truth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other comments?
No, sir.
Okay, at this time, we'll close the public hearing and we can move on to deliberations, but I think we're not moving on.
Well, you would have the rebuttal of the applicant. However, the applicant may wish to wait until the continued hearing in case there are additional speakers for his rebuttal. So,
Okay, well, you have the option if you want to rebut anything Mr. Duran brought up. Okay.
so at this point, the staff would be asking for a motion to continue at this point before
Okay.
any deliberations took place.
All right, well, we've heard it, so let's give a motion to continue, and
Motion to continue.
we have a second.
To the date,
It,
to November 14th.
It would be November, is that,
My son's birthday.
Raphael, is that continue until November 14th? That's what it says on the agenda.
November 14th, continue.
All right, do we have a second to continue to the 14th of November? We got a second over there, Mr. Harris. Okay, so we have a first and a second. Cast your vote, please. Okay, it was approved to continue this item until November 14th at 7 o'clock. So, so thank you for coming. Is there any staff wrap up or anything, or we're good to go? Okay, good.
No
All
staff
right.
wrap up.
All right. Are there any commissioner questions for staff?
Where's the Yum Yum Donuts? Is there anything about that? They had 2 locations that we approved. Anything gonna happen?
Dawn's letting me know that they are in building permit plan check right now.
Okay.
Any other staff comments?
No staff comments here.
Okay, any planning commissioner comments? I have a question. I probably keep asking this, so well, my dad keeps asking, so I'm sorry, but we want to know when the golf course, MV Ranch, is going to get up and going. What's the story on that?
I don't have a date at this point.
Are they still working on it, or?
We still have some meetings.
December.
We should have some more information soon, but I know we have a meeting next week with them, so.
Well, I'm old. My dad's even older, so we're looking forward to a plate of, he's still vertical. So,
I have a question, Commissioner. So in the future, when other cannabis applicants come in, there'll be less security things on the agenda,
Sorry, there's just no security details.
details.
Yeah, things like camera placement, how many guards, the hours that they'll be there, where they're going to be stationed, all that kind of information. That's part of their security. That'd be a security operational plans type of details. So when the questions start going into that, that's kind of outside the jurisdiction of this commission. And although we know it and although we have that information, it's not part of the public record. It's part of the business operation plan and permit for that.
And I understand that and I respect it. I'm just thinking of the last ones that we did before.
We have
that had the
given,
opportunity to ask those questions.
Well, we're okay with generalized questions like there will be security cameras,
Okay.
there will be guards. But when it comes to questions like where they'll be placed, how many, what hours, though, when we get into that specificity,
changed. Okay,
that's
good
where,
enough.
and that's the only reason I ended
I
up with
understand.
this
That's
time.
good. I'm just want to make sure, because I come here prepared
Yeah.
for security questions.
We know how important it is. And if you keep them broad and general like that,
Right, okay, good
it's
enough.
fine. I just don't want I don't want applicants to be having to explain that, well, I'm going to have 2 between these hours and 1 at this time, and he's going to be stationed at the back, and that kind of
We
stuff.
just want to know where the tanks are going to be placed.
Where the
Thank you
money's
so
held.
much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no
Thank you, Paul.
okay, if there's no other commissioner comments at this time, the planning commission meeting is adjourned at 8:47 to our next regular meeting at November 14th, 2019. Have a good evening.
I'm sorry, sir.
Oh, 7:47. Well, anyhow, it's been a long day. Have a good night.